Hi friends, I'm Prairie Vintage. My name's Linda. I'm an energy intuitive reader here on YouTube, and I use spirits, my intuition, the tarot, to communicate energies to you guys, amazing viewers. I am recording the day after the full moon, although this is a timeless reading, meaning whenever you come across this video, the message was meant to find you as long as it resonates for you. All right, so we're going to be looking at 4 different areas of your energy field in regards to your life. We're looking at the pentacle realm, which is more the practical things going on. It could be your finances, your stability, your work, more practical things in your world. And then we'll be looking at, with the cups here, your emotions, your feelings, what's going on around you energetically in regards to relationship. And then with the Ace of Pentacles, the Ace of Wands, we'll be looking at your passions, your desires, and your inspiration, and sort of what sort of energy are you being driven by and your motivations. And then we'll take a look at the Ace of Swords, which is your thoughts. What are you thinking? What makes sense to you, and what sort of mind speak is going on with you at the moment. So this is a pick a card reading. Okay, so you'll choose from one of these 4 options, and within that ace, we'll look at all 4 of these sort of areas, although one of these aces is going to have your energy predominantly in it. A lot of times, the strongest energy around you pulls through my reading, so it could just sound like somebody around you and you've tapped into their energy. Okay, if that's the case, then go pick another pile if you're not wanting to hear from or about energy going on around you. But this is an energy reading, so I cannot control who pulls through here. Okay, but I am intending it on being your energy, and I do intend on it being these 4 areas, although a lot of you guys come here for your love readings, and so it sometimes pulls through all aspects of our world if it is something that is consuming our energy, and I cannot control that either. So I am trying to tap into all these 4 areas. Okay, but it's my channel, so whatever comes through here, and I cannot control that. Okay, so I do hope it resonates for you, and I do hope we get a lot of different aspects in regards to your energy and what's going on around you as a sort of thorough reading as best as I can. Okay, so enough prefacing this reading. If this doesn't fit your desires, you can go check out another reader or another video altogether. All right, so 1, 2, 3, 4. I will put the timestamp in the description box and in the pinned comment below. Take your time tapping into whichever one feels right, and then as usual, use your intuition, what you will see, feel, or hear to determine whether the messages are resonating for you, and I will see you there. Hello, my gorgeous. Pick number 1. You guys picked the Ace of Pentacles, okay, as your pick, and we'll be looking at all 4 areas of your energy field, what's going on around you in a practical way, with relationship, your passions, your thoughts, and see what pulls through. So we will be pulling some oracle cards, and I will be doing this sort of live here, or I guess shuffling on the video, as my email confirms. And so this might be quite the process, but bear with me as we lay out cards. But let's start with your practical world here. What's going on in your energy field in a practical way here with the Ace of Pentacles. Spirit, for pile number 1, the Pentacle group, what is going on in their practical world that they are needing to know energetically right here, right now, energetically around them? Wow, Jupiter. You guys can see this. Jupiter is a ruling planet for Sagittarius and Pisces. Okay, and Jupiter is a very positive card. It's all about luck and expansion, and I do feel like there's a lot of blessings around you energetically. Whether you guys see it or not might be a different thing. So it's the only card that revealed itself, okay? And I don't know, like maybe you guys feel there's been a turn of luck here, or you feel energetically a shift that is prevalent to you right now and that you're actually feeling or seeing or coming into your awareness. So you might be coming out of a slump when it comes to your finances, maybe your job situation or where you live. There might be a turn of events happening in your life, maybe a new job or a new house or something you have to look forward to, I feel here. Maybe you got an increase at work, but this would be something that is apparent to you, okay, or is coming into your awareness right away, because I don't know where you fit on the timeline. So it might be something you already anticipate is about to shift or happen for you. But because it is the only card revealed here, so that you know whether this is your pile, I feel it is communicating this sort of new energy coming in around you, okay, which is awesome. So let's take a look. So we have the Aletheia, and we have the Ocean with 35, and we have the Heart with 31. And what was Aletheia? 67. Okay, let me sit with this energy for a little bit before we look at these alchemical cards here. Aletheia, the Ocean, and the Heart. Wow. Okay, so the Ocean and the Heart, like this is very deep here. Like I think you guys are putting a lot of weight in regards to your practical world, like where you're investing your time. Like it's mattering to you how you, what you do for a living, and like who you surround yourself with. And I feel like it's something that really is important to you, and you're finding balance in this. So maybe at one point you felt, I don't know, like it maybe didn't matter so much, or that it was something that you were not able to find balance here. But I feel like you're coming into really connecting on a level of your emotions, and what matters to you needs to have a good balance in regards to how you spend your time, and the people that you surround yourself with, and the job you do day in, day out, and the abundance you have around you, you know, like in a material way here, you're finding balance. And you could be coming from the opposite direction as well, meaning maybe there was a point where you were very much about the material things, you know, like how much money you could make, or how many things you could successfully accomplish, or you would sort of weigh your success based on your output of energy and what you could accomplish here, sort of as a doership. And the more you could do and attain, the more value you would sort of put on this. And it's shifting into more of a heart-based consciousness here. Like, are you actually happy? Are you actually happy? And how do you feel at the end of the day about yourself and where things are at? So I feel like you're opening your heart space up here to more abundance, but finding balance, that the be all end all isn't just in the material things here. And if you, yeah, I feel for a lot of you guys, because there is a blend of people here, could be coming from either recognizing the importance of emotional balance with the material world, and for some of you guys it could be that things are coming into balance here in your physical world that might have been not panning out for you, like the job just wasn't working, and you just felt like the place where you were hanging your hat didn't maybe feel like home, or feel like it was something that emotionally spoke to you, or didn't provide you with that deep sense of belonging or accomplishment in some way here. And I feel like this is shifting, and you're finding a lot of balance, or you're understanding what matters to you in this regard. So disillusion and lightening. So yeah, like I feel like there's certain things that are falling away that weren't serving your best purpose here. So if it was you know, how much weight you put in the material world. It's like you're dissolving any sort of beliefs you might have had regarding that material things would accumulate to some sort of happiness in some way, but dissolving that sort of understanding, and also maybe that you're not sort of able to create something that comes naturally here with the heart and emotions, that by just doing more, you know, like doing more and accumulating more and being more. This is something that you're recognizing hasn't brought to you fulfillment. And so I feel like these thoughts or these sort of beliefs are sort of dissolving in some way. And I feel like a lot of what didn't serve you in a practical way is also dissolving. And so I do feel there's a rebirth here, you know, a turning of fate, with Jupiter giving me Wheel of Fortune energy in regards to your practical world, where you've done a lot of reflecting, healing, and the old environment is sort of falling away so you could be reborn here. I feel like it's been very transformative for you, and it's manifesting in your everyday reality here. So lots of changes on the practical front, you know, and like I said, for a lot of you guys, it could be in all regards, like you've moved houses and moved jobs, or just are no longer surrounded by the same people in the same environment. And if it is the same, I feel here you connect with it differently, or your understanding of what matters around you is coming into balance. Yeah, and I'm getting Scorpio energy here. And I'm getting Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces from all the water energy. And then, like I mentioned, Sagittarius and Pisces from the Jupiter. Okay, so I did not pull any tarot. That's interesting. But we're going to move on to your cups, which is all about relationship, your feelings, and your emotions, and see what comes through energetically around you. All right, so spirits, for beautiful pile number 1, the Pentacle group, we're looking at their emotions and their relationship and their feelings. What energy is around them at this time, right here, right now? Spirits, please protect me and the viewer as I channel this message for the greatest and highest good of pile 1. Thank you so, so much. And thank you so much, pile 1, for allowing me to tap into your energy, the energy around you at this time. I'm so blessed. Thank you so, so much. I'm feeling that one as well. All right. Okay, let's take a look at what we have. So we have the Mask, 61. We have the Desert, 37. And we have Eros with 71. I'm being called to read the Eros, but let me tap in here a little bit first before we read the messages here, because I don't want it to impact what comes through organically as I channel here. So I feel like there's been a lot of challenge emotionally for you, but I feel it's tied back to the Pentacle realm. It's like, I think emotionally you were feeling either alone, abandoned, or just not fulfilled. Things were really dry. Maybe you've realized that you weren't living in your authenticity, or that the job wasn't truly speaking to you. Like there was an emptiness here, and potentially you've been entertaining it, or, you know, doing the actions of being in that relationship that wasn't happy, or staying committed to a job here that didn't really fulfill you, or feeling very much, yeah, like dry in that environment and alone is kind of what I feel. And it didn't emotionally feed you. And so I feel like you have this, I can't wait to see your wands here, because I feel like there's this new understanding of like what matters like passionately and to your soul. Like I feel like this is your soul, you know, like what actually is going to be feeding your soul, rather than like just sort of doing something here that you might have told yourself is how you need to be, or the right thing you're supposed to be doing, at the expense of being happy or fulfilled. And so as the energy shifts here, and like I said, for a lot of you guys, you could be in a different sort of area on the timeline, but I feel like with the Jupiter, things are changing where your recognition of tapping into what makes you feel good and what talks to your soul is going to be reflective of what you're actually investing your time and your energy and the people and things that are surrounding your outside world. Because I feel you can no longer sort of pretend, or that you're now shedding this belief of self that wasn't helping. So let's see what this Eros is about first, and then we can keep going. This isn't it. Wrong book, Linda. Miss Linda Lou. I think it's at the end. No, it's not at the end. Okay, so what is it? 71. 71. It is over here. Love is desire. Yes. Eroticism and sensuality. Though Eros can be depicted as unbridled sexuality and eroticism, a more contemplative understanding of this archetypal energy leads us to the root of desire itself. What do we long for? Why are we awakened by love? What makes us hesitate in the face of intimacy? Eros reconnects us with the primal longing to merge with another human being, nature, music, art, plants, food, or anything that we perceive we are separate from. Eros allows us to momentarily unite. Our heart embraces otherness, and in doing so, we further understand our own. Our life force awakens. This card reveals an inevitable initiation into love's labyrinth. You may find yourself swirling in a new territory of desire and sensuality. Explore the labyrinth with a curious and honest heart. And remember, though the way is circuitous, you are always being led towards its center. When light, passion, playfulness, sexual health. When in dark, madness, projection, and obsession. So this is what I'm talking about. It's like, what makes you feel alive, you know, be it through music, art, but I feel like your soul needs to have buy-in towards this. And for a lot of you guys, it could be even a relationship, you know, like no longer wanting to sort of settle or be surrounded by, and we're in relationship with everything and everyone. Okay, so when I say relationship, I feel like there's an energy of you now understanding what actually speaks to your soul. And so if you were sort of in a relationship that maybe was fulfilling in a practical way, there's now this understanding that there's a need to tap into a soulful way that speaks to your heart, your sexuality, and allow yourself to explore this. It's like something's been ignited here because it's been very inauthentic for some point, you know, like the outside was inauthentic and making you feel like you couldn't anymore, like you couldn't do that anymore, remain in the same sort of energy. Otherwise you would feel like you've lost yourself or lost your soul. So this might be something that's been very sort of scary or different for you than what you've previously been accustomed to. So let's take a look. Okay, so we have winter, and this is 16. Conjunction. Wow. And we have rotation, 69, and we have moon. Interesting how 69 is falling right here in the Eros, which is the sexuality and sensuality. So I am getting that you guys were in a very sort of frozen state soulfully, because I feel like things around you weren't talking to you. And so it's all about finding balance. And I feel like the balance is coming through with the emotions as it was coming through with the pentacle realm, because I feel like you're understanding the marriage between everything in the 3D practical world should reflect what's authentically going on the inside, touching what matters to you in a soulful, deep, connecting way. And so I feel like you're making these two worlds sort of come together. And I think it's taken some time for you to adjust and maybe rebuild yourself and really dive into your subconscious to look at certain parts of yourself that maybe you've suppressed, you know, like for a long time. Maybe you told yourself you needed to pay the bills, so therefore there is no chasing up on a passion. Or maybe you said you needed to remain in a relationship because in a practical way it made more sense. But then looking at this part and saying, is it just fear of the change? Is it just fear of what you'd have to sort of do here in order to align yourself, that we're hanging on to things and people and situations, that there's a deeper sort of reason why we're staying stuck, or a deeper reason why we are unable to move forward in our life, you know, to expand. So we're going from a winter period where we were stuck, and I feel like life was no longer going to be either abundant or give you lessons or feed you soulfully. And so with the Jupiter, that's all about expansion. And I feel like when we have this sort of change in our life, there's a lot of fear, but there's also a lot of reflecting, and there's a lot of changes. And I think it's also firing up this creative side of you. Like it's firing up, I think, all your chakras here. And I feel you feel alive, although I do feel like there is like having to relearn again, you know, about yourself and rebuild, you know, rebuilding that career, or relearning how to love, or relearning about self and how you love, or what matters to you now that you've connected to your heart space and see things differently, like what actually touches you. Yeah. And because the moon's all about emotions and this Eros, it's like you're no longer suppressing a part of yourself. You're actually looking at working towards accepting those parts of you that might have been suppressed or denied, or working with how you can take this energy to build something that's sustainable for you. This beautiful energy. Okay, so wow, we're going to move to your Ace of Wands and see where there's passion, because I feel there's lots of passion coming through here. So, Ace of Wands, it's what we're sort of inspired to do and where our passions fall, and it could also pull through our career and our creative pursuits. What's driving us, any new sort of ideas or inspirations we're having. So Spirit for pile number 1, Pentacle group. What's going on with their, do you feel one more, their passions and desires? Clear and concise message for beautiful pile 1 Spirit. What are they needing to know right here, right now, in regards to the energy around them? Okay. Wow. The ring. So this is, sorry, 57. And we have the ocean coming out again. This came out in your Pentacles, 35. And we have Althea, which also came out. Okay, and then we also have the warrior. Look at that. It's almost like I'm seeing the progression here, number 10. So, your world was pretty cyclical, I feel here. It was this getting to be the same old, what we committed to, and what we would feed. And I feel like something has really awoken your heart space here and your emotions. It's like you're really wanting balance in your physical world to what ties to your soul. And I feel like it's taking, or it's going to take, because I feel like, again, some of you guys might not necessarily be right on the journey yet, but it's taking a part of you here that might have been forgotten about, that you have the strength to pull yourself out of any situation that's stuck or stagnant or repetitive or just keeping you feeling in the same old, your comfort zone, towards being sort of alive and leaving behind. Because I feel like this would require you to leave behind a job or a relationship or something. And so I feel like you were just really woken up to seeing the different sides of you here, and seeing that what doesn't serve you, it's okay to leave it behind. It's okay to have growth. It's okay to find balance and not have to invest everything in, in a safe way. That it's okay to explore certain sides of you and accept certain sides of you. So I feel like it's going to be quite the healing process, or has been quite the healing process. And I feel like there's a conviction here about you in moving forward towards bringing in this aspect, because I feel it gives your world color. Like, it gives you more inspiration, more passion, more desire. And I feel like it's made you want to detach from anything that was frozen, anything that wasn't going to allow you to expand or grow. Yeah, like you're just moving on from that. And I feel like this is healing for you, and this makes you feel like you're no longer sort of stuck in a rat race or something that just wasn't allowing you to break out. Aries, Mars. And yeah, Mars is Aries and Scorpio energy. And this is being empowered and taking charge of our own life. And I feel like you've broken out of some frozen state of feeling like you couldn't detach, or you couldn't get anything more, or life was all about, maybe paying bills and being safe, or I don't know, some sort of comfort you had, rather than exploring some side of yourself that makes you feel alive. Although maybe it is quite risky, or maybe it is something that you had to sort of suddenly accept, but I feel like it's making you see things from a complete different way, that's empowering to you and allowing you to have a voice to this part of you that was silenced or not accepted for quite some time. Resin, this is that energy of things kind of frozen in the past. 38. So yeah, I see you looking, at parts of your life that wasn't expanding, and accepting that what might have happened in the past could kind of stay as a memory of the past, that everything sort of has happened to you for a reason, but you don't have to hit yourself or stay, frozen, for you to show your appreciation to what has happened and what's made you sort of who you are today, but accept that you can still have growth from your current state. You don't have to be stuck. Uranus, yes. And this is the number 8. So this is all about having a complete sort of wild way of looking at things, like if we tell someone, yeah, I, quit my job and I'm driving across country in a van, and that's what I've decided to do. Like, it's a complete sort of different perspective that we're now open to doing. I feel like there's this massive sort of change in your life, and other people might not fully understand it. And I feel it's very different from what you're used to. And I feel like you're breaking the mold. But I feel like the reason why is because this is something that emotionally you feel very passionately about, because it feeds a certain part of you, and you're seeing something completely different here. not how you saw things in the past, and accepting that, you know, things could be unpredictable, but that this is okay, that you still can be empowered to find what you need, even if things are. So I'm seeing a bunch of energy here, like just these orbs. So I'm just going to ask Spirit for some protection here for me and for the viewers here. So yeah, I feel like this energy is something that a lot of people might not necessarily understand, or you might have felt like your past self would judge this sort of a decision, or it wouldn't make sense to you in the past. So I feel like it might have taken quite some time here to get yourself mentally prepared, or at least accept this wild, passionate side of you to follow some pursuit that might have not have made a whole lot of sense to you. Maybe, you know, a month ago, 3 months ago, a year ago, 2 years ago, however long you've been on this sort of journey. But now I feel like you feel you can control your future state of emotions here and align yourself with more happy things if you go with this flow of passion and this pursuit and this idea, even if it is unpredictable. Because staying with the predictability, you already know that that was barren and dry and there was no room for expansion. Yes, okay, against nature with 56. Yeah, I feel like if you were to stay in whatever energy you were in, you'd feel like you were really suppressing a part of your soul and going against what your life path and purpose and calling is. So I feel like you've been called, you know, you've been called, and this could come to you guys in different ways, just through your soul, through your dreams. And maybe some of you guys have been seeing certain signs coming through from the divine in regards to this, or met someone that's awakened you up, or have engaged in something here that's sparked and intrigued you to make massive change in your life and do things differently than how you might have been doing in the past, because there was a resistance to change, or a resistance to taking risk, a resistance to doing things differently that might be risky or not make a whole lot of sense in that mindset. Okay, so I know I'm repeating a lot of this is intertwined, but that energy is undeniable here. Let us now look at your Ace of Swords, which is all about your thoughts, your actions. Okay, your thoughts and your actions, and oopsie. Okay. I'm just going to slide these over just a little so you guys can see. Spirits, thank you so much for that message. Please protect me and the viewer as I channel this message for the greatest and highest good of pile 1, the Pentacle group. Can we take a look at their thoughts? What are they thinking? What are their actions for group number 1? Thank you so much, spirits. The energy around pile 1 in regards to their thoughts. And wow. And I dropped one. I'll go grab it. No, I dropped 2. I feel we need them all. So let's start with these. So we have the empty room. This is giving me that winter energy, that resin, that desert. Okay. 42. So it's like things couldn't grow. Things couldn't expand. I don't want to repeat myself, but I feel like you were thinking like there is nothing here for me to work with. And so it's like a clean slate now. Like your thoughts are around, there's nothing here that's fulfilling to me. I can sit here in this state and wither away, or I could chase something that's going to make me feel alive. Venom with number 58. I feel like some of you guys might have been becoming quite sort of bitter in the state that you were in, and maybe changing not for the best, like it's not bringing out the best in you. Okay, to stick around in a situation that's had nothing fruitful. And it could be that the situation just was becoming very bitter itself, like people around you maybe were not cooperating or showing their best sort of energy, and maybe you felt it was lower vibrational to you. But I feel like there was possibly a challenge in detaching, removing yourself from whatever the state is, because maybe people were trying to keep you stuck in that state. So if you tried to quit a job, maybe your employer was trying to convince you, or keep you there to stay, and maybe offering you more money or giving you a reason why. And I don't know, like I just feel like it was difficult to detach, or you're fearing having to confront certain demons. I feel like, like if this was a relationship, it's like certain confrontation that you knew would arise from you being sovereign or emancipating yourself from a situation that might have had you feeling stuck. And so you might have got some backlash, and this could be coming from self, because we are in the mind here. And so I feel like there was your logical mind saying, I'll have to prove myself, or I don't know, there's an energy here that maybe you felt guilty or bad, or like your mind was telling you this wasn't the right thing to do, that you'd be having to explain yourself, for choosing maybe something that's more risky or doing something different than what you normally did here. And the flame, this is all about your passion. 51. This is like at a certain point, this flame can get it gets hot enough where it has to sort of open up at some point in time. Like we have to listen to our passion, and if we continue to suppress it, it becomes something that forces its way out, whether we like it or not. And I feel like you could no longer silence the voice here, that there was something sort of burning from within you that was calling to you to make change and confront what you were needing to confront here, because it became too barren. Smoke, so interesting, we have the flame and smoke. 32 became very smoky. Okay, like you could no longer stay in the situation. You had to find the flame, get out of a situation that just was too much to bear. Jupiter, that's again all about the expansion, the turning of fate here. Yellowing, this is where things sort of die off. So you knew that in order to expand, in order to grow, in order to move forward, you had to sever off certain aspects of your life here and allow things to organically fall away so you can have new growth. 14, again, the balance with this Sagittarius, I'm feeling temperance energy. So you could balance your life, your physical with your emotional. And we have the despicable face. So yes, this is again like the mask energy. It's like we're putting on a version of ourselves that we might learn to detest in some way. So I feel like you were in your mind about, is this who I want to be? Is this how I want to present myself? Is this the energy that I want to keep supporting and feeding? Or is it best to kind of let it fall away so I can have expansion? The oil of vitriol, look at that. So this is kind of similar energy. This is similar energy. It's like, I think you feel, or you might still feel like in your mind, you got to confront certain people and certain things here that might be against your decisions. And so in order to make a move, in order to align yourself with your authenticity, it's going to require you to stand up for yourself and confront certain energies in your life here that might have felt like they were holding you back. So you're anticipating either some resistance or just getting little support from the people in your existing world. And so this might be a concern or a reason why you've not made any moves or stayed where you were and made yourself small. Quicksilver 24. I don't frequently see this card, but this is all about this sort of adaptable energy. It's giving me Mercury energy, you know, the Magician, Gemini, Virgo. It's all about how we can adapt and work in different situations to be fluid so we can kind of manifest and bring into reality what we want to see, you know, through our own means, making it happen ourselves. So I don't know if someone might have felt like in your world almost like threatened by you having the control with the Mars energy and this Quicksilver giving me Mercury energy, which is you having to do whatever it takes here to adapt to making changes in your life. And I don't know that your familiar people or your situation or your circumstance welcome this. And I feel like at some points there could have been some inner pushback from yourself, you know, like telling yourself that maybe you were not capable of being adaptable, or that you would, I don't know, be someone that would be bad for wanting more or wanting growth or walking away or leaving certain situations behind to follow a passion or to do something that you felt was calling to you. Mercury, I was feeling this energy. Again, this is the Gemini, Virgo. This is all about communication, but sometimes there's what we understand on paper and what's communicated, and then there's certain energy between the lines which cannot be explained. And that's what the Uranus, like, I feel like you couldn't fully explain if someone had asked you, you know, why or what this energy was about, you making a change or needing this sort of call to action. Even if you explained it, there would be no real understanding of it, because I feel like the importance and the meat of this substance was in between the lines. You know, it's something that other people potentially couldn't support you or understand. And even you maybe couldn't fully make sense of it. It's like maybe you're a very earthy type person, you know, like they're fairly grounded. And so when you have this idea to pursue something that speaks to your emotions and your soul and your passion, it's like, does it look good on paper? And you couldn't rectify these thoughts and this call to action with what you were feeling. And so that's why this balance kept coming out. And I'm feeling that temperance, like I said, which is you finding a way to manifest what you want and adapting with the current state of your mind so you could still move forward and grow. So I feel like you might not quite be where you're wanting to be, but I feel like you're working with your state of being and your thoughts in order to adapt in a way that could move you forward. But I feel like it's something that is quite challenging, yeah, because I still feel like you're still not quite at the pinnacle here, but something is bubbling and burning up within you that's no longer, you can no longer deny, and you can no longer pretend to be someone here that you're not. And you're recognizing the things that you're still working on leaving behind, and parts of yourself you're severing off. And there's a massive change here, you know. And the alarm, I feel, is your soul calling to you, saying that it's driving you out of states of being that aren't producing. So we're going to wrap up with some cards here, since you're the first pile, just to see, and we'll pull these just to see if there's anything additional Spirit wants to communicate to pile 1. Is there anything pile 1 needs to know right here, right now, Spirit, in regards to the energy around them that we need to communicate to them? Any questions they might have right here, right now? Thank you so much for this beautiful message, Spirit. We have pain, 3 swords I'm seeing. So I think it's difficult to separate from the people we love or leave behind certain parts of ourselves during this process. A hen, divine feminine energy. It's all about being receptive, and I feel like there's a lot of pain in being controlled by your set of circumstances, and feeling like we couldn't take charge, or we couldn't, I feel like you wanted to birth something that is more aligned with you, but at the same time I feel like you felt pained to be in a situation where you were having to accept a situation as it is without growth or movement, and that's been very difficult for you. Vase, devastation, loss, and recovery. So in order for there to be recovery and expansion, there has to be a dissolving, and I feel like the dissolving is very painful here, okay? And I feel like you have been going through this, and maybe you're still going through this, but Spirit is showing that you're about to manifest what you want, more aligned with what you want here, to be receptive to the shift in energy, to work with the universe, that you don't have to force what you want. It comes to you if you don't resist, and you work with the universe to move towards what you're sort of being called to do here. Because I feel like it was taking a lot more work for you to suppress, resist, and pretend, but I feel like there is work in detaching, and there is sadness and pain and leaving behind what doesn't serve. But I feel like Spirit is saying this is very temporary, considering that you will be able to produce for yourself all the things of abundance that you could not in your current state. And so that this pain is temporary, that this devastation you might be feeling or loss is required in order for there to be a new beginning here, and what you're going to create. Purse, privacy, finances, and a windfall. So Jupiter energy from this, a windfall, like you're aligning, okay? This is all about fertility and abundance, and the purse is like, look at all that wealth here, okay? So I feel like the universe wants to align you with gifting to you abundance here. And so it's asking for you to trust what you need to let fall away, even though it might hurt. Because I feel like with this purse being cut, that there is no, like, you don't really have a choice here in so much as to listen to your soul's calling. Like, I feel like the calling is happening one way or another, that you're having to move towards this, that you can't suppress it any longer, and that this abundance is coming to you, that this abundance is going to be something that comes with this shift, and it just flows. Like, there's no forcing it. You don't have to worry about adapting in a way that has to control anything, because the hen is very receptive. It's just being open to the universe to deliver. And I feel like this is what the universe wants to do. It doesn't want you to be fighting and and that like oil of vitriol and that venom, and it's like it's a very heavy energy, and I feel you're going into this polar opposite type energy, but the transition is painful, you know. Transition is painful. So, and with windfall, I do feel like there is a shift that happens in it. It's a massive shift. We kept saying Jupiter energy, and I feel that's a turning of events. It's a turning of energy from something that is very heavy and sad into something that is very abundant and a blessing that you can work with. So this is what I see, pile number 1. I hope this helped you. I love you so much, and I will see you soon. Bye-bye. Hello, my beautiful, gorgeous angels. You guys picked the Ace of Cups, option number 2. And so we're looking at all the aces, which is all the areas of your life energetically and what's going on around you. So the Pentacles is your practical world, your material wealth, potentially where you work, where you live, your physical things going on in your world. Then we'll look at your feelings, your relationship, your emotions, emotional state. Then we'll look at your drivers, your passion, where you're inspired, and maybe your creative pursuits or your career and that sort of thing. And then we'll look at your thoughts and your actions and what you understand. Okay, so let's take a look at these areas. Let's start with the Ace of Pentacles, which is your practical world. What's going on with pile number 2 in a practical way here, Spirit, energetically? Please protect me and the viewer as I channel this message for the greatest and highest good of pile number 2. Thank you so much. And thank you so much, pile 2, for allowing me to tap into your energy and the energy around you at this time. I am truly blessed. Spirit, please protect me and the viewer as I channel this message for the greatest and highest good of pile 2. What's going on right here, right now in their practical world that they're needing to know about and understand? Thank you so much. Okay. So let me just do a little shuffle here so you guys can see. We have the Bridge, 38, and we have Thanatos, and this is 73. Okay, and then we have Agape, and this is 72. Wow. So I do feel this is a very transitional time for you. And I feel like you're rebuilding. But I feel like there's a heavy, heavy emphasis here on, I feel like, spirituality and growing yourself spiritually and connecting to the divine, and maybe like something very foreign to you, you know, like very foreign to you. And for some of you guys, I'm feeling like maybe you guys have encountered a kindred spirit or someone in your life here that you're kind of on a journey with here, is kind of what I feel, okay? So I feel like you are on a journey. I feel like you're on a journey of spirituality, growth, connecting with things that go beyond sort of this practical world. But I feel like this is solidifying your practical world at the same time, although it's not your focus, I feel here. I feel there's this really like ethereal energy of like you really connecting with the divine, tapping into your energy, and learning about self and learning about certain aspects here. But I feel like your physical world might be something that's still not figured out, or still like a maze in some way, or there's sort of lots going on. I'm going to read this Thanatos that I'm being called to read, not this book, and see what comes through here. 73. Oh, why do I keep grabbing the wrong book? Because it's in the wrong spot. That's why. Okay, so boopity boop. Where are you? Okay. Oh yeah. So it says death. It is tempting to oversimplify death and sum it up as a transformation, but the true archetypal renaissance of Thanatos cannot be easily assimilated or contained. Death is ongoing and omnipresent, an eternal response to the gift of birth. Witnessing the ending of another being, creature, phase, or stage has deep consequences for the psyche. We are forever changed by the Thanatos as it sweeps us under its wings, making us relinquish control. In every form, it leaves a mark of ash upon our heart, signifying we have touched the cusp of the underworld and will return to the land of the living eventually, with more compassion and wisdom to share. This capacity is needed in our world. One who has faced the annihilation of Thanatos can face anything. When this card appears, it signifies an initiation into the underworld, grieving, mourning, bearing, witness to all that is when dark, fear, or insensitivity to old age, illness, or the dying. So yeah, like I felt like there wasn't, like, because I know we're in this pentacle realm, but I was almost feeling like there's lots going on around you, but I feel like it doesn't necessarily matter so much. Like, we're transitioning here, and maybe nothing is really solidified in your world in any way outside of you focusing on your spirituality or what really matters, or connecting with your soul and like learning this lesson of life, I feel here. So I feel like things are completely different for you than maybe they've been, and I don't know how long you've been on this transition or this journey, but I do feel there's another energy here. Okay, and this could be your high self leading you down a path that maybe you've suppressed your high self or haven't listened to high self. And sometimes high self, sometimes I don't like using high self because it infers that there is sort of this separate from the divine being. And as we know, there's oneness. And so I feel like the divine being and spirit is your high self, okay? There's oneness here. You are that energy that is calling upon you. So I feel like you're being guided. And I just keep hearing this journey, okay? This journey to connect with this, which requires you to shed a lot of self and learn of self. And I feel like nothing's really consistent. So you could certainly be very tired here, okay? And maybe you don't feel grounded. You don't feel grounded. And I'm just tying back to when I had my spiritual awakening. I felt so ungrounded and so tired. And what sort of helped was, well, every day that passed, it sort of, I mean, it would peak and valley and so on and so forth. But eventually I got grounded, and I got a lot of grounding stones and prayed to the divine and tried to really clean out a lot of things in my life that made me feel like I couldn't get grounded. Like I started drinking tea instead of coffee and just telling myself that God was present in my life when I felt very much like I was drifting. So I feel like you're most likely feeling very like you're in this energy of shift, transformation, but it feels just like you're this energetic state and are needing some sort of grounding. So I don't think there's much in way of control you feel in your practical world here, although I'm not saying that there's nothing going on in a practical way, but on the forefront is your spirituality, your soul connecting to the divine, this journey, this transition, and it almost feels like it's out of your control and you're just kind of there witnessing this transformation, being guided, okay? But I do feel there is sort of this kindred spirit here as well as you being kind of guided by source, and I feel like you're being led. Okay, so let's see, androgyne. This is 62, and smoke 32, and calcification 64. So I feel like things that you might have categorized or judged or labeled is now becoming one. Like I feel like you're learning about oneness. Like there is no sort of category per se, you know, but there is no duality in the grand scheme of things. Okay, there's only unity, but understanding about duality and about polarity and about masculine, feminine energy, and maybe how you used to see things is really shifting. And I feel like you might at times question your old way of viewing things, and especially in your life when it comes to practical things, it's like you no longer see things the way you did, and there's a call to action and certain things you feel pushed out of in some way because you can no longer sort of tell yourself that you believe it or you see it in the same way. Because I do feel like maybe you were getting too stuck before this journey. You were getting too stuck in maybe seeing things from a very dualistic way, or not allowing you again to expand in some way. And that was what pile 1 sort of was about. So you might have been pulled to 1. But I feel like there's this need to go on this journey in order for things to break loose in your world. And how this happened was something maybe that you would rather not have gone on this journey, or that kind of scared you on this path, or made you see something you couldn't unsee, or have to take action in some way. And so I feel like your mindset is completely different than it has been in the past, and how you connect and see things around you. And so I feel like at this point you're probably identifying where you don't want to be, you know. But at the same time, I feel like because you're learning about oneness, and you're learning about accepting certain changes in the way you think and how you see things, that I think you're not quite sure. I think you're not quite sure. Like the alarms are going off and you're not sure, where is this alarm going off? Like, am I supposed to be moving, or am I supposed to be quitting my job? Am I supposed to be in this relationship? Am I supposed to be living in this state? Am I supposed to, like, I feel there's a lot of questions here, and that this is what's happening kind of in your practical world. Like you're questioning where you're engaged, and you know you need to take action, and you're being called and pulled, and you're seeing things different. And yeah, okay, so that's in the practical world, which, wow, if that's there, I mean, that's quite interesting that it would come up in your pentacles. But I feel it would certainly impact how grounded you are and what's going on in your physical world. So let's see what's going on with your emotional states and your relationships, and how you're feeling with this cups. Spirit for beautiful, beautiful pile number 2. Can we see what's going on in their emotional state and their relationships? How are they feeling? What are their emotions? What are they needing to know right here, right now, in regards to this state? I'm feeling one more. Okay, agape. This is, I should just read it to you guys because I can't even do it justice, but I feel like there's this beautiful energy that you're coming into great awareness of, that is sort of like breathtakingly leading you, because you're really connecting to the divine and seeing that there's more to life here, and feeling really connected to this. Okay, 60, 72. Yeah. Devotion, unconditional love. Look at that. What if instead of putting yourself at the center of your spiritual practice, you put God, goddess, or nature at the center? How will this change your approach? Such is the energy of agape. It is alive when we are in awe and wonder, our breath taken away by the sacred force that surrounds us and asks us for nothing in return. This card can indicate a spiritual initiation that stretches your capacity to love and serve. You sense the earthly as the heavenly and vice versa. Such an initiatory moment can appear in any form, and like a healing balm to the modern soul, its effects last a lifetime. The Agape card may also suggest you reassess what you worship every day, consciously or unconsciously. What are you elevating? What are you elevating? Where does the sacred ladder you climb ultimately lead to? When in light, service, reverence, honor, and joy. When dark, spiritual bypassing or righteousness. So you guys are on a spiritual journey, no doubt about it, where the practical world falls away, where material things don't necessarily matter, and I think there's a lot going on here, but I think the more important thing is where you're devoting yourself and being very in tune with, again, like that androgyne. It's like, what do we judge? How would we bucket things and categorize things, and seeing things from sort of God's eyes here in some way, and learning about unconditional love, and that we are all connected to source and life will never be the same. So I think this is it's interesting. It's come out in both your practical and your emotions here, because I feel like this is such a strong thing that you can not fight. Like, you've been called on this journey. You've been called by the divine. You've been touched by the divine to see this. Okay. So warrior. Yeah, it's number 10. So this is, I feel the ego death, shedding of the old, lots of healing happening, us needing to be the warrior, which is, us facing things that might be very difficult for us to face, and seeing things from all these sort of different aspects that we might have not have seen in order to add color to our world. Because if we continued to live in the matrix world, we're missing out on a very spiritual, important part of the reality of life, the divine. And I feel like you're seeing things in color and you're being able to connect to this, but I feel like it's a very difficult path when we go through an ego death and a dark night of the soul, and we're having to be strong, and we're having to shed a lot of old thoughts and old identities and connect to our third eye. And I feel like there's a beauty here, because I see this gem that's standing out here in the third eye, and I feel like the gem is you connecting with the divine and seeing things from a third eye perspective rather than a materialistic sort of way with your eyes and ears. It's like, what do I know, in my soul? So your spiritual gifts might be kicking in for sure here, okay? And we have the thread, which is 70. I feel certainly you're understanding how everything is sort of connected, okay? But I feel like you might at times almost feel like there is no stability. I feel like you're kind of at the mercy of this journey and where's it leading to, and sometimes feeling very much like you have to kick into this warrior sort of energy, but I do feel you're very tired, and I feel like maybe you don't feel supported just yet by the universe. So I feel emotionally you kind of feel like you're hanging on your own and hanging by a thread, but you are learning the lesson of unconditional love and how things are all connected. But I feel like there is a darkness here sort of around you, or there has been, but you're ascending, and you might be learning to climb out or fight your way through darkness. And the darkness, as we know, and this might trigger some people, but the darkness, as we know, although we experience it as reality, it's an illusion, okay? Now, I'm not saying darkness doesn't exist, but it's an illusion within ourselves, because we are light beings. We are truly light beings at the core. And so when we learn about unconditional love and this light, we start to identify that the darkness within us is just an absence of the light. It's an absence of the divine. It's an absence of us being aware. And so we start to shine our light in all these dark places within ourselves. But this takes a lot of courage. And so we realize we're not abandoned by the universe, or that other people aren't disappointing us, or that we lack anything, and that our shadow self and parts of us that we're ashamed of, or that we suppress, or that we don't want, are actually things that we can learn to integrate and accept and welcome. And so instead of how we might have in the past tried to, I don't know if it's like at the age of 12 or 13, we start to silence that little self, the little self that's natural, that wants to come out, that's innocent, and we tell it it's silly, or it shouldn't feel the way it feels, or we feel ashamed of that part of us, so we suppress it, and we don't hear from that voice anymore as we get older and older and older. And so it sits there. So now when we go through this spiritual awakening, we do something we haven't before, which is pull that little self out and say, I hear you, I see you, and I feel like there's this connecting to inner self, connecting to child self. And I know that's not traditional with the thread, but I'm really getting here, like knowing that ties back to who you are, knowing that the divine ties back to who you are, and that everything is oneness, and that any of the darkness is something that you could navigate through if you accept certain parts that cannot change. And it then doesn't sit in the dark, it then becomes light and integrated. The fault line 49. So this is, to me, giving me like it's like it feels very much like you feel like you need support or shaky ground here, and learning like you have to sort of do it yourself, but going from knowing that you yourself are the divine. So although you might feel like, I don't know, like there's no one around to support you, or feeling abandoned in some way, it's like the longer we're on the journey, the more we find we're not abandoned. It's kind of giving me that parable of like feeling alone, and us praying to Jesus, saying like, why did you abandon me in my worst times? How come I see two sets of footprints here when things were easy, and when things got difficult I see one? And Jesus says that it's because I carried you, my child, when things were difficult. And so I feel like although you might be engaged in this journey feeling potentially very alone, or like you have to make decisions alone, and only you can sort of suffer through this or fight through this, it's like this is the divine coming through you. And so I feel like you could no longer sustain where you were, and there was something you couldn't unsee, and a foundation that needed to be shook up here to climb yourself out of this state. So we have disillusion. This is, I feel, the ego death, okay? Things that we know are no longer who we said we were, or who we have to be, or that we identified with. We dissolve, okay? And before we ascend, we sort of have to descend. And this is kind of tower energy. Things have to dismantle, dissolve before we can build. But I feel like Spirit's coming through saying that the true self is always there. It's not something that we have to go attain, okay? But when we dissolve the ego, when we dissolve the illusion, the understanding, and the filtration of experience that we hold as a thought, we shine the light and identify it's just been an experience that we've had. It doesn't make me who I am, and we dissolve this. Then our true self shines brighter and brighter and brighter and brighter. And this is the ascension. The ascension is that light within us shining brighter and us seeing clear. But there's a lot of dissolving of ego, I feel here. Yeah, sun splendor. Look how beautiful this is. I'm feeling that kindred spirit again. Okay, so I do feel like you're being pulled, protected, and carried here, but I do feel, aside from that, your high self or the divine pulling you through, I feel like you're on this journey with someone. Okay, so you might have met someone, like, again, this could be a twin flame journey, okay? Someone here who has triggered our path here. But I feel like with Sun Splendor, this to me is bliss and joy. It's the 10 Pentacles and the 10 of Cups, and it's finding Satori and peace and seeing the beauty in everything. And I feel like in order for you to get here, because I do feel you see glimpses of this or understand this concept, you know, like what does true happiness, unconditional love look like here? Not from an ego perspective, you know, like Hollywood love, but like an actual soul love here, you know, of self, and how to have this for another, for all beings, not just, you know, being in a partnership, let's say a romantic partnership, but for all beings to find union and peace here. And so we have to dissolve our idea of what we think connection looks like, you know, by releasing any sort of understanding we have of separation consciousness. The sun, look how beautiful, you guys. I'm gonna cry. So the sun is the most powerful card in the tarot, and positive card, because the sun is giving life and it's joy and it's bliss and it's contentment. But I feel like you're being enlightened. You're being enlightened about what does unconditional love for others look like, and for self. And this empowers you. I feel you're really getting enlightened here, okay? You're really an enlightened being. And this allows you to create and get empowered in your own life. And whether you're feeling this or not, I feel like you might be seeing glimpses of it. Okay, and you guys are all in different sort of space in your timeline. So some of you guys are still working on dissolving the ego. I mean, there's always ego to be dissolved. So this might be a practice here, you know, dissolving the ego, seeing and connecting with the divine and being enlightened, and then falling back in ego and adjusting. And this is the journey, you know. The journey doesn't really have a destination, but we keep ascending and healing and connecting to the divine, and we can no longer sort of stay in the state that we were in. Leo energy, I'm feeling divine masculine energy coming through here. So I feel like, yeah, dissolving of ego and dissolving of doership, like feeling like maybe we have to do things, and learning that we're at the mercy of the divine, that it doesn't matter. Sometimes we could do up to a certain point, and those of you guys who have got here understand what I mean. It's like you can, you know, keep creating your own business or keep climbing up the social ladder or whatever, and at a certain point you understand that there's a cap here to the happiness and what you can create, and that when we open the door to the divine, that there's more that we can experience. But we have to shift the way we sort of see things from a doership to allowing, like, and working with the universe to bring towards us things here that we might have thought we had to attain, but that's already sort of within us. We just need to peel back the layers of ego so we can see it and work with it and start to manifest different things in our life. Wow. Okay, so emotions, that's interesting. And like I said, that's that kindred spirit. Maybe we'll pull some cards to see if we could see what that's about as we go along here. But let's look at this Ace of Wands. So this is all about our passions, our inspiration. It could be our career or creative pursuits, what's sort of motivating us. So Spirit, with this Ace of Wands for pile number 2, what is pile number 2 needing to know about their passions, their intentions, their desires, and their creative pursuits here? What are they needing to know? Clear and concise message, Spirit. Thank you so much. Please protect me as I channel this message. I'm not feeling that one. The Vessel. Oh my goodness. The Vessel revealed itself. I think you're aware that you were sort of limited by your practical world here, and I feel you're breaking out of any sort of confinement or limitation practically around you. Like you're breaking out of the matrix is what I just heard, okay? And you're being enlightened. And here we see the sun here, okay? And it's shining here in the darkness. So we're having to sit with our shadow self and our ego and certain parts and shine the light of enlightenment when we start to see things differently, see where our limitation is, and we feel very vulnerable, exposed, and again, maybe like, are we on our own? And we sit here for some time and it's uncomfortable to see ourselves as raw and vulnerable and parts of ourselves that is shadow. And it takes a lot of growth spiritually to accept that any sort of limitation has been one that we've created by our own beliefs, by our own constructs, by being either indoctrinated to believe as such or carrying certain values that have been instilled in us. But I feel like when we are able to see from an enlightened perspective, we can get very honest with any limitation was one that we had put upon ourselves. And so this confined energy, I feel like, is what's driving you to break out. Like, and if you weren't asking for it, it's like the universe is saying you were too restricted and confined, and it wasn't allowing you to see the beauty of self, to work with the vulnerable parts of yourself that you might have silenced, that little self, again, that is vulnerable, that wants to come out here, okay? So that you're not limited and you're not restricted. And this is the driving force behind all of this sort of shift. The vow, oh my gosh, look at that. 54. So one, I see the bird, which again is that ascension. We're ascending, and seeing things completely from a different perspective, from a more elevated sort of point of view. And this is the commitment to higher self. And I feel like you're making, because the devotion was coming through with agape, like you're devoting yourself to spirit. A lot of you guys might be really getting into spirituality, and committing to yourself and being really driven by this new insight and this new vision of where you can commit and what you can dedicate and what you can value, because you're seeing authenticity and rawness here in a different way than you might have in the past. So whatever you committed to or dedicated yourself to is changing. It's changing based on what you're finding in your shadow and based on how you're being enlightened here. And I definitely feel the support here from the divine, pulling you through and helping you sort of navigate through this period. If you have ever doubted it, fault line coming out again. It's like you could no longer stay. Okay, so the driving force here, it's like the foundation that is now cracking, and this divide gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And at one point, we got to kind of cross over to the other side here, or go down with the sinking ship in some way here. And that's an analogy. So I feel like there were certain things that were getting out of control in some way here. And when I'm saying out of control, it's like you could no longer sustain in an environment where we couldn't see light or beauty or love. So your heart might have been very closed, or your relationships were not growing, or your connection to the divine or your devotion to a higher purpose was kind of needing to be shook up here, because it wasn't prevalent in your everyday, and so this is the driving force here. It's giving you life to move towards making these changes. Uranus. 9, right? No, 8. Sorry, 8. So Uranus is a ruling planet for Aquarius, sorry. And this is all about having a complete sort of different outlook, like outside of the box thinking, like very unique and different. And it could be very shocking, and other people might not necessarily understand it, because it's sometimes something that is just not standard. It's not standard. And I feel like with the lightning bolt, it's a sudden sort of change in how you perceive things and the universe and yourself, and what you value in your life is completely different now. Yeah, big changes. Gold, beautiful. So we have 26. So I feel like this is you becoming the best version of yourself, okay? This is like you becoming very solid in your beliefs, who you are, what you dedicate yourself to, no longer maybe settling, and really tapping into a part of self here that I feel is your best self by being one with the divine and connecting to that part of yourself, no longer sort of shutting it out, suppressing it against nature. Some of these cards came out for pile 1, so you might resonate, but I feel like this group is definitely about the spiritual awakening and the journey. And I feel like we were suppressing the little child here and resisting that voice. And maybe it's been a very long time that we weren't seeing a true side of ourselves that needed to be accepted. And this true side of ourselves is what's going to allow us to ascend to the best version, you know, rather than settling or staying in a state of closed heart and refusing to see this other part because it is suppressed and keeping us stuck and limited. We're now welcoming and seeing things differently. But I feel like there's still parts of this that you're not seeing yet. And sometimes it might feel quite radical here, you know, like the change is so radical. So it takes a while to adjust. And I'm seeing the Olympics here with this gold. And to me, it's giving me someone who's constantly practicing, constantly devoted and dedicating themselves. So I feel like it's taking repeat times, you know, to get it right. And it could be frustrating. Sometimes we feel like we might not be getting anywhere, but like the Olympian needs to practice. And so I'm hearing from Spirit that you are getting somewhere with every practice. You get better, you know, and you get closer to the divine and the truth here. And so although maybe at first we might feel like something that is radical or a big shift, we eventually, through time and through sitting with it, we learn to accept certain parts here and work with it so that we can get the best version of self. And I feel as though there is something very different about what you're supposed to sort of be bringing into the world here. That's different than what we've seen, you know, we as in Earth. So I feel like you're delivering something here, but you're needing to sort of perfect. I mean, we're not perfect, but perfect the you that is enlightened so that you're able to, I don't know, like really work on delivering this sort of energy to the world that we haven't seen. You know, this energy we haven't seen. Because I feel like you're dedicating yourself to this sort of devotion. Okay, so let's take a look at the Ace of Swords, which is your thoughts and your actions. And then, like I said, I'm going to just see if we can see anything on the kindred spirit that we were picking up, or that second energy. But Spirit, with this Ace of Swords, pile number 2's thoughts and their actions. What are they needing to know energetically in regards to their current, it's way too many, their current thoughts? Thank you so much, Spirit. We have the Offering, oh my goodness, the Maiden, and the River. Okay, so 64 and 8 and 34. I'm going to pull these as well for thoughts. Okay, so I feel the devotion coming from this thing. It's like the Offering is you dedicating yourself here to what this is all about, okay? So where we completely, I feel, also surrender to the universe, but I feel like you're going to be gifted with something here from the universe. So I feel like we're maybe not totally understanding or clear as to what it is that we're offering or what's supposed to come of us going through this in some way. You know, like we're not really understanding what is being transactional here in some way with the Offering, but I feel like you understand that you're supposed to allow yourself to surrender and devote yourself to giving of your energy here in order for you to go through this transition. And this is the Maiden's all about us going from sort of adolescence to adulthood, and this innocent sort of energy that we might have suppressed or haven't been able to tap into, the inner child, or that part of us that was innocent and naive, and and kind of reach out to it and see where it's sitting. Because I feel like in the shadows with this river, I feel like there's certain suppressed parts of you that we might now be sort of seeing and connecting to, and saying, this innocent part of me is a part I no longer want to suppress, or that I'm understanding for the first time of who I was at that point, or that I'm accepting or understanding this version of me, as a part of who I am and how I feel. And so as I feel we go through the journey, and a lot of it is parts we can't control, I feel like you're trying to be very aware and conscious of what is shadow and what you can see, and how you can integrate certain parts of you, and how you can be more true and innocent and not an ego or matrixy or fall back in old ways. Yeah, I feel like you're very present here, but I feel like there's this two-way, like what you have to sort of give of self and devote of self, and then what is it that's coming in. I feel like, and maybe because we haven't fully seen the results of this shift that's been quite profound, we're not sure what's sort of coming in towards us here, but I feel like as we go on, we know that the enlightened journey and connecting to the divine is one where we find the peace, and it's liberating. It's liberating us. It liberates our shadows and allows us to be in a more innocent sort of place here. So we have Mars. This is all about being empowered and speaking our truth. More lightening. Okay, so I feel like this shift could have just happened suddenly, but I feel like there is this part of you that wants to be authentic and speak your truth and act in truth and fight for something that you believe in. Vinegar, 34. So with the vinegar card, it is, just finding the right amount of something, but something can outstay its welcome. And I feel like there is a bittersweetness here. And there's a balance here of what is good for you and what isn't. And so what's coming through as a message now is about sometimes when we are too much in one energy, the universe will shake us up with all that fault line we kept seeing in order for us to come back to center. And so it will show us the polar opposite. And so if we are in doership, if we are like always doing and needing control and making things happen, it's like it will show us situations that are completely out of our control. And so the universe isn't saying that you have to be completely flowing with the wind and not having any control, but it shows us this for us to find center, to say when things are unknown, I am okay, So I feel like how much power and doership is too much, where we start to fight against current, where we can act with the universe in harmony, okay, or where we are resisting and fighting with the universe in order to create our will. So I feel like there's this bittersweetness of understanding the sweet spot of still being true to our innocent self and not allowing, things to sort of override us completely, but still have the right amount of what we can control, standing up for what we believe and giving of ourselves, so that we can find sort of the middle ground here. Yeah, sugar. This is the same energy I'm getting from the vinegar, because too much sugar is not good, right? So this is like the hedonistic sort of lifestyle, 31. So it's like something might feel good in the moment or taste good or experience good, you know, but then we can't sit eating sugar all day, you know, but it's okay to sort of indulge in things that make us feel okay, as long as we don't overdo it in some way, to find this sort of happy place. So we could have been so much in this doership energy that it was at the expense of our own sort of treating ourselves for something that feels good to us, you know, that feels good. Or we could have been so hedonistic, which I don't feel for a lot of you guys, but so hedonistic here where it was like in the moment just doing whatever felt good, where nothing was really balanced, okay? But I feel this is the other way around. But it's interesting because vinegar and sugar, and the vinegar put on the sugar, it's sort of dissolved. So there's like a need to find balance between the sour of life and the sweet of life. And you sort of learning what it means to be empowered and knowing when the universe has control and when you can sort of take the wheel here, you know, and the universe can offer you what it needs to, and not losing your sort of genuine self here in the process, okay? Like, don't allow it to get carried away here in the shadows. So I'm going to see with the kindred spirit and see what spirit wants to show us. So spirit for pile 2, we were picking up a second energy with the kindred spirit. Can we get more information for pile 2? What is this about that they're needing to know? I am feeling one more. Blade, conflict, injury, and apprehension. And broom, new starts, cleansing, and resources. Okay, so maybe I'll pull a shadow card as well. Unicorn. Wow. Okay. So I feel for a lot of you guys, there is this energy of cutting out certain characters from your life, okay? Like really doing a cleanup of your life and people that you're around. So I feel like there's a kindred spirit around you to give you contrast, like what we were talking about, you know, like with the sugar and the vinegar. It's almost like understanding what feels good and what causes conflict and pain, and understanding this and knowing how to remove and cut out certain characters from your life. And so this is all about you understanding what sort of personalities, I guess, support you, prop you up, and what no longer around you resonates for you, and to cleanse yourself and start new in this journey. But I feel like with this unicorn, this is all about, this is like the spiritual awakening, you know, we're seeing signs, symbols, synchronicities, and it's like a once in a lifetime sort of experience. So I feel like you're meeting, or have met, I should say, because you'd know your soul people, a person. I'm feeling one energy, although it could be, you know, an energy of a community of people or something here, but I feel like it's giving you this awakening contrast in your life, you know, and I feel like this is something that is very different than what you're used to or accustomed to. This is someone very different, you know, very, very different than who you are, to give you contrast, but also that you've met or been around. And so this is how this journey is sort of navigating, is because I feel like as you become aware and engaged here, it gives you contrast, and you sort of know more or less what feels painful, what feels good, how much is too much vinegar, how much is too much sugar, where do I take control, when can I have control, and what do I cut out, you know, how do I learn to say no or have boundaries, and how do I clean certain things that aren't good for me, or people in relationships. So this person is here sort of providing this contrast, okay? And I feel like with the unicorn, this is like a very sort of unique partnership here. Very, very, very different. Okay, so let's just pull sort of a final message here for pile number 2. Spirit, for pile number 2, is there any final messages pile number 2 is needing to know right here, right now, that they're questioning, that I can answer for them? Thank you so much, spirits. Please protect me and the viewer as I channel this message. I am feeling one more of these. And one of these. Anything further? Oh my goodness. Okay. Stop. So, universe was getting you to stop. Clear, okay? Getting you to stop, because I feel like you were going down a path in which it was time for you to potentially even do a 180, okay? So, this is the fault line. This is the too much vinegar, too much sugar. And we were needing to reassess certain part. And by doing this, we open our heart space and see things completely different. So we got stopped in our tracks here. Strength, lots of red, lots of passion. Okay. But I feel like with the strength, it's that Mars energy, like finding it within us, finding the courage to make change, finding the courage to face your shadows and fears and still be able to be present in how we move forward and not be too held back, and find the right balance, you know, because the strength is all about, are we too held back or are we too reckless, you know, in our movement? And to really stop and address this. Hen, oh my goodness, this came out for pile 1. So it's divine feminine energy, and it's about, you know, the hen lays eggs and is fertile and can create abundance here. And the hen is receptive energy, working with the universe, not necessarily controlling, you know, like divine masculine energy is kind of a doership. This is more of being receptive and open and not being too, you know, passive and too open to where the wind blows us, but also having to understand what the balance is, like where we can get empowered and take control, and when we can be receptive and allow the universe to do things and find that happy medium, you know. And I feel like we were trying to find balance within ourselves here, and so the universe is saying this is the reason we're kind of going through this. Key, the hidden secrets and discovery. Key is all about the knowledge and information, and getting High Priestess, Pisces energy. Okay, working with our intuition, finding understanding within self that we might have not have seen, that was deep in our subconscious here. Okay, that allows us to move on to other phases and open doors for us, because we were very limited or stuck in some way without realizing that we've capped, or we couldn't, tap into that magical sort of agape energy of source and connect to the divine source without experiencing what we have here. File, mystery, strangeness, and transformation. Yeah, look, hidden secrets, mystery, transformation. So this is the spiritual transformation. Okay, and I feel like if you were asleep in the matrix, you're now awakened, and look, we have that vessel again. Okay, so I feel like you're breaking out of the matrix, breaking out of the vessel, breaking out of limitation, and you're seeing the limitations in your world for what it is. So even if you are in some sort of limiting physical world still, because I still feel like your physical is still not aligned, because I feel like energetically you're spiritually sort of shifting here. I feel like if you're asleep, you're now conscious and awake and present, and you're becoming very observant of your limitations and what's restricting you. And you are working towards this key to opening your future. Look, purse. Oh my goodness, this came out for pile 1 as well. Privacy, finances, in a windfall. And look, the pouch is sliced and all these coins are coming out. So this is the abundance. This is the wealth, okay? Whatever wealth means to you, and a windfall. So you're coming into enlightenment. You're coming into birthing something of wealth and abundance here for self by working with the universe and by finding balance, by checking yourself and stopping and addressing, you know, how you're moving forward here in life and not being too heavy in one side and being awake, working with the divine, devoting yourself to the divine here. And it's beautiful. All right. So this is what I have, pile number 2. I hope this helped, and I will see you soon. Bye-bye. Hello, my gorgeous angels. You guys picked pile 3 with the Ace of Wands. Pile 3, we're looking at all 4 areas of your life here and the energy in these areas. So Pentacle realm, which is your practical world, what you're doing sort of day in, day out, what's around you, and your work, your home, your finances, that sort of thing comes through here. And then with the Ace of Cups, this is your relationships, your emotions, your feelings. And with the Ace of Wands, we're looking at your passions, your inspiration, your creative pursuits, what's sort of driving you and your desires. And then with the Ace of Swords, we'll be looking at your thoughts and your actions and, yeah, what it is you're really, truly thinking here, okay? So let's start with the practical world and what's going on around pile number 3, spirits, in a practical way here for pile 3. What are they needing to know energetically in regards to the energy around them right here, right now, in a practical way for pile number 3? Thank you so much, Spirit. Please protect me and the viewer as I channel this message for the greatest and highest good of pile 3. And thank you so, so much, pile 3, for allowing me to tap into your energy, the energy around you at this time. I'm so blessed and so grateful that you are here and that I am able to channel this for you today. Okay. So, Starborn, number 3. Oh my goodness. So, I feel like there is something you're really focused on here that you're actually really, 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 really good at, okay? And I think it comes very naturally to you. And I think it's going to, or has already been providing you with abundance here, okay? Now, I see the egg and it's cracking. So if you don't know what this is, I feel like you might already anticipate or feel you're on some sort of path of abundance that is calling to you, your purpose or what you're good at, okay? It could be singing, I don't know, writing, dancing, some sort of something that comes very naturally to you, okay? And I feel like it is going to be your abundance here in some way, okay? So I feel like it's just taking off, or there's a realization of this understanding. I'm getting divine feminine, and I'm getting Empress energy, so Taurus and also Libra energy coming through. So I'm not saying that right now it's been very easy, maybe financially, but I feel like whatever this thing is, I feel like it is going to be impacting your finances, but I feel like it's also where you're investing a lot of your time and your energy towards something here that's taking off. The Mask, 61, and Apocalypsis. Okay, so I feel like you could certainly have been doing something that was inauthentic in your life and shifting to something that is more aligned with who you are and what you're good at. Okay, and sometimes we don't see how it could reward us financially, but as we know, when we do what we love, the finances and the wealth and everything else that comes with it comes naturally and gradually in a way that we don't have to fight for. Okay, so I feel like you were potentially, or could certainly be, amidst realizing and seeing a pathway that you want to be on, and that you're in some sort of authentic energy, because it hasn't been supporting this dream of yours, this talent of yours, this ability of yours. And so I feel like it could be quite chaotic when we go through this apocalypse, because I feel like our whole world sort of gets turned upside down. You know, if we've been committed to a lifetime of a career and we need to make massive change, it's like we start to think about all the things in the matrix world that might come with that, right? Like, how do we pay our bills, and where are we going to live, and that sort of thing. And so there's massive sort of upheaval in some way to have to resolve a lot of that energy so that we can align our authentic self with supporting our dream job or dream career or dream investment. And I think for some of you guys might understand and see it, but I feel like right now in a practical way, I think things are very difficult because it's not lining up or it's not reflective. So we've been either dedicated already and started our journey of supporting whatever that dream is, but we still haven't attained the fruit of it. And so we're not sure, but we know there's something here. And for others of you, I don't know that you've started this, but you're seeing it as something that is calling to you and that is more aligned with your authenticity, but you're kind of wrapped up in this sort of unraveling of what's going on in your practical world here that needs to get sorted before you can feel like you can dedicate yourself to this star-born energy. Sugar, sulfur, and the earth's heart. Wow. Okay, so sugar is sort of, it could be hedonistic energy because it's like doing what we like, but too much sugar obviously isn't good for us, right? So we could spend, hours and hours and hours and doing what it is that we love, but we might feel guilty, or we might not know, exactly how to get what it is that we want and take pleasure in life because things are difficult. And so I feel that with the sulfur, it's like our soul calling out to something that pushes through, releases, and allows us to enjoy the finer things in life here without suppressing or feeling restricted or having to wear a mask and shove down what we truly want. Okay, because sulfur is used here in the geysers to push things out here. And so I feel like there's a true essence of you that's wanting to come out here, that's wanting to take part in what you enjoy. And it could have been very, very suppressed, and you could still be suppressing it in some way, but identifying there's an authenticity here. And so your life could be feeling really like upside down and nothing really makes so much sense, or it doesn't feel like your authentic self. So it's not aligned. It feels disjointed, because what truly matters here with the earth's heart at the core of everything is, are we doing what we enjoy? Are we taking sort of the energy back to our soul that feeds us, that fuels us, that matters to us? So yeah, I feel like you're figuring this out right now in your practical world, but I feel like your practical world right now, so your job or who you're around or where you live or what's going on, isn't yet there. And I feel like you're breaking this mold, or identifying that a mold needs to be broken here, because something matters to your soul that feels good, that's going to feel good. So let's take a look what's going on in with cups here. And this is your relationships and your feelings and your emotions, your emotional body. Sorry, just dropped a card. Give me a second. Okay, so for pile 3, Spirit, what's going on in their relationships and their feels in regards to their emotions and how they're feeling right here, right now, Spirit. What are they needing to know about partnership and relationship? Thank you so much, Spirit, for this clear and concise message. I'm getting, you guys might be quite, actually I'm getting 2 messages. You guys might be quite private, or you might have been suppressing this part of your life. Maybe you're very focused on that dream of yours or that vision of yours, and maybe your emotions when it comes to relationships maybe taking a back seat, or could be something we've been suppressing. We did see the mask, so it could be there's something in our soul with that sulfur that was wanting to be released here in some way, that I feel you might have been shoving down, maybe subconsciously, or knowing that we've been inauthentic to our emotions and not doing what we want to do really to support it. Okay, let's see. So we have the flame. This is all about our passion, like the flame inside us that calls to us and burns bright, and eventually it gets so hot here that it opens up. We can no longer sort of remain or contain the flame. 51. And the venom, interesting, this came out for pile 1. 63. So yeah, like I feel like there was some part of you emotionally here that we might have tried to fight off, but it was a true, like with the earth's core or the earth's heart, it was like a true authenticity, or true passion, or true flame here. And so we might have been bitter in some way, maybe that we couldn't get to it or attain it or knew how to get to it, or felt like we were against a lot of things that were keeping us from this. But at the same time, I feel like there's this trying to contain it for whatever reason we felt we had to. Maybe your environment didn't feel safe enough, or we felt threatened by our environment to allow ourselves to pursue or to acknowledge this passion or this desire in some way. Thanatos, wow, this is the spiritual awakening and the death of parts of us that need to die off. So I feel like the parts that need to die off is the parts that no longer sat well with us, the parts of us that emotionally contradicted what our authenticity was and what would support this flame and support us in that sort of acceptance. So I feel like emotionally, there is you sort of breaking off parts of self here that no longer feel good to carry. And I feel there is this burning flame that's either you're really protecting in some way here that is burning, but you're not quite sure how to take action just yet. So it has to be sort of protected, or it's sort of sitting there as a thing. Let's see if we could see some more. Pile number 3's energy here in regards to their emotions, spirit. The sun, divine masculine, this is taking charge, and this is birthing something, like creating it. Father energy, and I was feeling Empress from the first card. I don't recall what it was. It was not Empress, but I was feeling it, and now I'm getting masculine. So I feel like there is you wanting to align your creations with something and feeling empowered to support your passion and what it is you can do to create this. And so there could be a lot in your world right now that contradicts it or doesn't support it. And so I feel like you're working on shedding that and acknowledging what is, and getting very clear about what you want and what drives you. Glass, yeah, getting very clear, getting into focus what you want, getting certain, in an environment that maybe wasn't so clear and was maybe very drab. Number 30. So this is about us seeing and also it being kind of fragile here, I feel. So I feel like there is a protecting of this sort of dream. And so I don't know if you're just kind of seeing it as a distant future thing, because right now things are up in the air and a little chaotic, and maybe you don't have the full support. So emotionally, there's this like fragility, I feel. And look at that, to lightening. And we see the serpent and the egg, and we were seeing the starborn. Yeah, the starborn was the empress I was feeling again. So I'm getting masculine, feminine energy here. And I mean, feminine's all about our emotions and, you know, being receptive. And this egg is being reborn here. And so in order to be reborn, we have to shed. And that's what this Thanatos is like shedding everything that no longer serves and having massive change. 13 is giving me Scorpio energy. That's the transformation. And the lightening is where we, you know, it's like sudden, we're having to make sudden changes here in our life. And sometimes the changes could be very quick, so it causes conflict and other people might not support us, or we might sort of resist certain things here. There's a certain fragility I feel here with the cracking egg and this glass, just glass in general. And I don't know that maybe you feel like you have to protect this dream in some way because it could be a fragile time right now in regards to your emotional state and what you're having to release, because there's lots of sort of conflict I feel here, you know, lots of conflict going on and still progress and healing and that sort of thing. Okay, let's look at your Ace of Wands and see with this passion, because I feel like there is a lot of passion coming through you already. Your desires, your intentions, what's sort of driving you here? What are you inspired to do here? And what's this all driven from? For the beautiful pile number 3 spirits, can we please get their passions, their desires, their driving factors here? Wow, Anima Mundi, the everything card. And we have the peacock's tail. Okay, so Anima Mundi. This is, I do believe, the very last card in this pack, and I should just read it to you guys because I can't do it justice here. Let's read the Anima Mundi. So, the soul of the world, all that is. Anima Mundi epitomizes the principle, accept all, reject none. Simply put, it is the living soul of the world in all its multifaceted, multidimensional layers, bonded together by loving cosmic forces. Diversity, that's what this card is celebrated, multiplicity is honored, and nothing is denied. Embrace. Yeah, nothing is denied. Embrace. Constructs of separation dissipate into the wonderful mess of shared consciousness. Anima Mundi is the link between the literal and the imaginal, the rational and the mythic. It is the connective fiber that makes life meaningful. This card indicates an initiation on the level of the soul. That was, we were getting with the sulfur. Was this your thing? Yes, sulfur. Okay. That was that soul was crying out in that flame. You will awaken the unique light within you. Yes, the flame. And witness how this light contributes to the radiance of the entire universe. You will sense yourself as a critical note in the cosmic orchestra. Destiny is altered as you hear the enchanted melody of all living things, tending to the sacred details of life. When dark, overwhelmed by the bigness of existence. So you're finding your true calling and your purpose, and really what is the driving factor here is you coming into this understanding of how to support your soul's vision, your passion of what it is you're supposed to be doing, you know, and how you weave this into the world around you. And this is all about diversity with the peacock's tail and seeing all these different sort of shades and not seeing things as either this or that or in two-tone, okay, but seeing that there's a spectrum of ways here and ways to support how we can integrate what we want to see for ourselves. And so I feel like there's this driving force within your soul that's wanting to come out into the universe to accept what this is. And I feel like because the starborn keeps coming through, and the starborn, in fact, sorry, I know some of you guys don't like when I read, but I feel like we need to read the starborn, because this is the driving sort of force here. The divine child, the star child, the destined, an elusive yet radiant aspect of the self. The starborn archetype points to the cosmic spark of light that arrives with each being at birth. The moment the newborn crowns, whether vaginally or surgically, the royal stars above are said to constellate in a unique shape that maps our path in the world. The idea of destiny is controversial, yet the starborn naturally feels a sense of destination and purpose, aiming itself towards a future that is beyond the mundane. When this card appears, travel back to your birth story for cues and insight. What did you desire when you were young? Practice seeing your life from a mythic point of view rather than a series of logistics. Read the story of the three fates and envision yourself born under the stars with a unique destiny. When light, a light, trusting, vibrant, and aimed. When dark, feeling of misalignment, loss, and longing. So I feel like there's something you're good at, some purpose, something you're bringing to this world, and you're learning to allow your soul's desire to push you towards this. The threshold, yeah, like you're right there, okay? You're right there, and I feel like this is the flame here, and it's burning, and it's getting hotter, and you've been sitting in some sort of cold, dark place here, maybe sitting with the venom and understanding it is venom to sit in darkness or doing what you don't love or not supporting it. And so I feel like the threshold is thin, and you kind of getting closer to this. Like there's only a certain point where this gets too hot and you cross over this threshold here into this energy, okay? And I feel like what's driving you is your passion, is this flame and this calling to pursue this thing. The Pilgrim, 20. So I feel like up until now, you could have certainly have felt like there's no home, you know, and you might still feel like you're sort of wandering. And so how do we go from wandering into working like a functioning unit of society in a way? Now, this doesn't mean matrix society so much as your purpose here on earth. Like we're not aimlessly wandering, not providing or offering any service to the world. So we feel like we're connected to others and relationship and giving of self to the world and pulling of the world to self, so that we can become in relationship rather than sort of feeling disconnected or disjointed or like we can't fit in anywhere and moving around from place to place and not really feeling like we fit in so much, like we're not supported by the people in our life or what we're doing. So it feels very temporary. Separation, this is the duality I feel here. It's like feeling separated from others, and mostly because we haven't connected with doing what our calling is here and our purpose. So I feel like you've identified the separation that you feel, and this is because there's a pull for you to allow your soul's calling to allow things to merge, you know. And so this is the separation from the more lonely, dark place here, cold, to the supporting our purpose and our passion. Pluto, this is the underworld, Scorpio energy. So I feel like this is making you face a lot of things here, you know, of self that you might have not have wanted to face at some point, or have had the courage maybe to face, because this would require you to push yourself outside of your comfort zone and deal with things that were very suppressed and maybe you couldn't see before, you know, because I do feel like you might have been in darkness, but when we see the light, or when we see something we can't unsee, we then have to peel back the layers and be very honest with self. And so I feel like you're in the middle of a transition here of going from a more separated self that didn't fit in, understanding self, being honest with self, accepting certain parts of self, seeing yourself for who you truly are, and then integrating yourself with this offering or this thing I feel that you're passionately sort of pursuing here, or can do very well, okay? So I feel it is something very special, and I feel like you're protecting it in some way. you know, whether you're doing it consciously or not. And you could be protecting it from yourself, maybe, you know, that you felt maybe the timing wasn't right, or that you still had some stuff you had to unpack here before you could commit or dedicate yourself. Some more experience, some more learning potentially here you felt you needed to do before completely committing yourself. Okay, so let's take a look at this Ace of Swords. And this is your thoughts and your actions right here, right now, for pile number 3, Spirit. What are their thoughts? I'll put it right there. What is pile number 3's thoughts, and what are their actions? What's their understanding here? What is their truth? What are they sort of seeing and understanding here mentally, logically? What do they know? Thank you so much, spirits. Okay, we have the mother. Oh my goodness, number 1. The mother is birthing something. I do feel like you're certainly birthing something. Okay. And I feel like, again, the protective energy, like this nest, it's like, I think you're protecting your dream, or you have been protecting your dream for some time here, you know, and it's been cultivating in some way, but I feel like now's the time you're birthing something, or you understand there to be something you want to nurture that is abundant. Look at the pearl here amongst the everything else. It's like something very special and unique here that needs to be protected. The vision. Yeah, you have a vision for sure. Okay, for sure. This is coming through very strong. 55. 55 is a master number. Change is the only constant. It's also divinely orchestrated change that happens about, because things have to sort of change. And look at the 2 owls. Owls all about knowledge, wisdom, experience. So we might have had one understanding, and now we're working on understanding a complete, maybe different way of understanding something about ourselves. But I feel like there's a vision you have here of what you can see for yourself and overcoming something here. But I feel like there's been lots of obstacles, and you've had to find a way of how to get through the obstacles here, you know, through your experience and what you know, and keep kind of plowing ahead with this. Yeah. Eros. Oh my goodness, this came out for pile 1. So this is our sexuality and what speaks to our passion and calls to our soul. And so I feel like there's an understanding of some deep sort of connection you have here to this passion of yours. You know, it really fires you up. It inspires you. It connects you to this alive place. So I feel like you can walk and talk in your truth here. So let's pull some more and see what for pile number 3 comes out for this understanding or this knowledge. You have gold. You're coming to the best version of self with this gold, okay? Gold, I feel, is top-notch and not settling for what doesn't feel like it's your ultimate sort of state of being. And we have Chiron, which is us having to heal from certain experiences that might have been very painful and kept us having to do inner child work and having to overcome traumas. And card 11. 11 is divine inspiration. Divine keeps coming through. I feel like this mission is divinely guided. And I feel there is a lot of divine timing in play here, okay? I feel like you might understand about this divine timing, and maybe you're waiting for the perfect time. And so this is being protected, you know, being guarded, this dream for safekeeping while you heal and deal with certain pains of the past here. And look at the sun again. Beautiful energy. Sun is the most positive card. This is all abundant joy. Okay, this is enlightenment and birthing something here with father energy. So we have father and mother, creation. Okay, the father impregnates mother to create something. So I feel like you understand you're going to create something. You have a vision, speaks to your soul here. I feel like there is this you version that I feel you have in your mind that's going to be the ideal. Okay, but I feel like there has been a lot of pain and suffering and experience here and having to overcome and get through to get here. So let's pull final message of what you're needing to know Any guidance, advice, or whatever Spirit wants to give you here. So let me put these cards back. Okay, Spirits, clear and concise message, advice, guidance, final words for beautiful pile 3. What did I miss? Any questions they might have? What might help pile 3 as a wrap-up message here? What they're needing to know in regards to their energy. Thank you so much, Spirits. I do feel one more of these, actually. And one of these. What is pile 3 needing to know about this, Spirits? Guidance. Okay, so we have crown, empowerment, status, authority. That's that sun energy. Okay, so sun energy, divine masculine, empowerment, making things happen. Okay, so we need to know when we can take control of our own life, get empowered to make decisions. Okay, but I feel like here with status, I feel like you're like, and the gold, like, I don't know, like, who are you? You got to let me know. Like, I feel like you're creating some sort of power status here, okay? Like, you're going to become someone that's like either, I don't know, like either very famous or well-known, or like come into some sort of great power here. Scorpion, danger, accident, and subterfuge. So this is that Chiron energy, and I feel like there's this sadness here that's coming through, and I don't know if you've had to sacrifice or dedicate yourself in some way, or go through an experience here that has been quite challenging. I feel Scorpio energy with this, and Aries energy, and lots of Leo energy coming through as well. So it has been a challenge here, and maybe we've been, again, I feel like you're protecting your dream, you know, like you've been kind of trying to defend your position, or yeah, you could be very in sort of defensive mode. Rejection. So up until now, I feel like you have not yet been able to create, and maybe you feel like now's not the time, or that you were rejected or feel incapable. But Spirit is showing that there is this need to do what we can to get empowered to take charge despite what has happened, and what pain and what experience we've had in the past, and setbacks. Okay, and maybe we're too cautious of danger or rejection, and it's getting in the way of us feeling confident and empowered to take action. Friend. Yeah, I feel like also what's coming through here, I was picking up, like, I feel like with the divinely guided, like the right people are coming in to help, and the right things at the right time. Like with this friend, I feel like you're being really supported here. Okay, and not to be too held back or cautious about what your talent actually is. Like, I feel like you're probably better than how you think you are, or you're better at it, or you're very cautious here for whatever reason, and maybe past experience with the Chiron has kept you cautious and risk adverse here. But I see this Ace Wands, and I feel like the passion is, you know, and it's interesting you picked the Ace of Wands, and here's the Ace of Wands, and Ace of Wands is all about inspired action, you know, action, getting that light and taking action and beginning on that journey. And Bunny could be hesitant and sort of fearful, and sort of feeling like it's not good enough, or bottom of the totem pole in some way. But I feel like with the friend here, it's like, for sure the right people in the right situations are coming in, but Spirit's saying, like, be your biggest supporter. Like, understand that you have something here, you know, like, don't have negative self-speak or be self-destructive here on self, and be your friend, be the friend and that voice that helps support you. Like, be very loyal to this dream, you know, that allow yourself to be confident and take the power to make the change here, because it's definitely within you. So this is what I see, pile number 3. I hope this helped you guys, and I will see you soon. Bye-bye. Hello, my gorgeous angels. Pile number 4. You guys picked the Ace of Swords. Absolutely my favorite ace. All about truth and clarity and honesty. So we're looking at all 4 sort of areas of your life. Okay, with the Pentacles here, we're going to look at your practical world, maybe your finances, your career, what's going on in your home life, and people around you in a practical way. Then we'll be looking at the Ace of Cups, which is your emotions, your relationships, and how you're feeling, okay? And then with the Ace of Wands, looking at your passions, your drivers, what's sort of firing you up, and your desires. And then we'll be looking at the Ace of Swords, which is your thoughts about how things are going and the actions you're wanting to take and the things you're thinking. So let's start with the Pentacle realm and look at what's going on around you in a practical way. Okay, so like I said, this could be anything from your home life, your work life, the people around you, your finances. Spirit, what does pile number 4 need to know in regards to their practical world? Please protect me and the viewer as I channel this message for the greatest and highest good of pile 4. What are they needing to know? And thank you so much, pile number 4, for allowing me to tap into your energy and the energy around you at this time. I am so blessed. All right, we have the Eternal Child, number 4. Wowzers. And we have the Shadow, which is 28. And we have the Threshold, which is 45. Okay, I think this was for pile 2 in the practical world. We didn't get to a whole bunch of practical things because there were lots of spiritual things going on. And I feel like for you guys, there's something going on inside of you, and we'll see more when we get to the emotional side. But I feel like there's something inside of you in regards to your inner child. And I feel like we're seeing this little flame here, and we're seeing all the flames under here, and, you know, someone kind of standing on the threshold here about to sort of break. I feel like there's some sort of suppressed thing within you. And I feel like either you are just being introduced to this sort of calling to make a massive change in your practical world. So either where we've been committed to a certain job or relationship or thing in our world that's been our everyday, and now there's an identifying, or you will soon be identifying, or at least a feeling of an acknowledgement here in some way that there's some inner burning call to make a move, or that's pulling you towards addressing something that's been suppressed or hasn't been completely acknowledged or seen by yourself. That's going to impact this practical world of yours. And so I don't know that you've made a move so much as maybe you anticipate you have to make a move, or the fire is getting too strong. And so I wouldn't be surprised if we see like smoke here coming out, because I feel like you feel maybe like you can't stay, or like you're trying to withstand as long as you can. And I feel this is shadow, you know, that we don't want to address. We don't want to see. Yeah, I'm feeling that for a lot of you guys too. Okay, so take what resonates here. If it doesn't resonate, leave the message for someone else. And again, this could maybe not be your pile, but for me, I'm feeling someone here who has been sitting with a burning here, okay? A burning to make a major change in a certain aspect of their life. And it could be in all areas, or it could be one specific area. Okay, we could be committing ourselves to some sort of thing in our world that is at the expense of something within our inner child that's calling out to us that needs to be addressed here. And it's getting bigger and bigger. We cannot ignore it. We can pretend, or we could sit in shadow and not see this thing, but feel disjointed in some way. But I feel like the inner child knows when we're in alignment with our calling and our purpose, and how we're seeing things. And we might be seeing things in it from a very black and white sort of perspective, and needing to sort of shift how we see things. And so it could become a series of steps or a journey within itself, so we could have different sort of perspectives, so we can come into better balance. Because I feel like we're a little disjointed is kind of maybe what I'm feeling here. And we're disjointed because we are committing or dedicating or surrounding ourselves either by choice, or feel like it's by force some way, or habit, or it's just what's happening around us in a practical way, something that isn't really reflective of the color version of self here. Okay, I hope that makes sense. So we have the Great Serpent, This one hasn't showed itself yet. Oh my goodness. So we have 45. This is the Ouroboros. It's kind of the circle of life. Sometimes things come to its natural end in order for there to be a new beginning. And nothing lasts forever. And so we could be hanging on to something. I'm also getting a message here for some of you guys. It could be we might not want to grow up. We might be hanging on to a certain part of our experience here, okay? So if we're stuck in some state, not wanting to see that we change and things change, and we need to let the old fall away, old self, in order for there to be new. And some of us are suppressing. And so we're suppressing the change, or we're not ready to make the change, or don't understand the change here. My stomach's gurgling. Okay, let's see. So we have Venus, number 4. So I'm getting Libra energy here from Venus, and also Taurus. So I'm getting ego here from the Venus. I am getting ego here, and the need to appear in a certain way. You know, like when we need to appear in a certain way, either for ourselves or that we believe we need to have appearances upkeep, or something might look good on the surface, but inside it is not fulfilling, or inside there's something else that needs to be addressed and hidden in the shadows. And so this thing becomes uglier, or it needs to be maintenanced, you know, or we need to see the ugliness in the situation, that we might have rose-colored glasses. Again, maybe the denial, or it's getting very hot, and so we keep saying it looks good, or it fits good, and it no longer fits good because it needs to be shed. And then we have the wise salt. Yeah, so through experience, we then come to see and understand things differently than we had in the past. And I'm getting that, again, the black and white, and then seeing things in kind of color, which is the different spectrum of understanding here in a different way because of experience. 28. So, and that's 10. And 10 is all about completion, ends of cycle. So I feel like there is an end of cycle happening that might have, maybe should have already happened, but we're resisting, or is about to happen, and so we sense it. Okay, but I feel like there's an experience you're having in this state of this practical world here to give you contrast, to give you a new way of seeing things, so that you can use your experience to make decisions here and align it with the inner child and the passion. Okay, that might be in black and white right now, and so we shed things that no longer supporting this vision, not to concern with how we appear to others or to ourselves, or what we told ourselves was looking better, you know. So let's take a look at your Ace of Cups here, which is your feelings, your emotions, and your partnerships or your relationships, and see what comes through here with the Ace of Cups. So Spirit, thank you so much for that beautiful message for pile number 4. Can we take a look at, that was a fail, pile number 4's emotions, their emotional states, their relationships, their partnerships. I feel energy on these. Can we take a look at pile number 4's emotional states? What's going on with relationship, fault line, the village, and the poet. Might as well pull these as well. Pile number 4's relationships, their feelings, their emotions. So this is Tower energy for me, because it's things that kind of built on shaky ground that starts to fall apart in some way, and we can't build on shaky ground. So I feel like in the practical world, there's something here that is needing to fall away, or is no longer authentic to us, you know, that's fallen apart, and that we're having to address the fault line. Okay, and so I feel like we might be trying to please other people or upkeep something here that is false, I feel. Okay, I feel like you have a very good heart. And I feel like you might be devoting yourself here to a family or a group of people, or doing something that you feel would be right for another in some way here, although it's not aligned with your inner child, I feel here, or at least the truth. Because I do feel like you're a very empathic sort of person here and have a lot of love, but I feel like you're a deep emotional body here, you know, and I feel there is something that you do love, and I feel like there's a pull for you to explore and move outside of what is happening right now in your practical world, and you might feel at certain times kind of stuck to it, or like there's a big obstacle because of something in your world right now that doesn't allow you the freedom to go pursue where your heart is. So I feel like you're sort of making a bed in the fault line, or continue to make a bed in the fault line, and eventually the fault line gets wider and wider and you fall through here, and you kind of have to, again, like that threshold, it was getting hotter and hotter. Like I feel like there's a need to make movement, you know, and I feel like you feel maybe stuck, or like there's too much to overcome here. I feel like there are people involved here, you know, and you might hear other voices in your head telling you what you have to do or how you have to be, and maybe there's a lot of conflicting thoughts here, and because you are a very empathic person, you might not know what to trust here. But I feel like there's your eternal child, your inner self here, that is authentic, that knows where you're supposed to be moving towards, but I don't feel there's movement yet. Fog, yeah, a little unclear as to where it would take us so much, and we can only see a certain distance ahead. Like in the fog, we can only see what's right in front of us. 39. And so when we can only see a certain distance ahead of us, it becomes challenging for us to see a bigger picture or know exactly where we're navigating, or we might be too focused on what is exactly right in front of us, that it's at the expense of a greater truth here that touches our emotions. Yeah, the resin. I feel you're stuck to something here, okay? Because it might have been some way of the past, or something that was perfect in the past, or an experience that you're hanging on to in some way, or stuck in some way to it, attached to it. And so we see it from one perspective, and we continuously see it from that perspective, but there's another reality here that's calling to us. The Raven said that's calling to us. So you're being called, okay? You're being called to work with the universe, and once we feel it and understand this, there's no denying or suppressing it. It's like once it's in mission, it's in mission, and you can't go back. Okay, so I feel like you can't go back to how it was, and you cannot stay where it's at, and it's no longer seemingly the same way, and there's some truth here that's needing to be accepted and revealed. And it doesn't matter how much you sort of keep giving to a situation here. I feel like you're being called to create something elsewhere, and because this is coming through the emotional body, it's like you know this emotionally, but I feel like there's still something here that has you sort of wrapped up in I don't know, like a previous state, and it could certainly involve other people, okay, or your dedication or devotion to other people. So let's take a look at your Ace of Wands. This is your passions, your desires, your intentions, your creative pursuits. What's driving you here? What's driving pile number 4, Spirit? What do they need to know about their passions and their desires and their intentions? I'm feeling for. And let's pull these as well now. Thank you, Spirit. I feel this one. Okay. We have the tier, 52. 7 was coming through here. I didn't say it because I was feeling chariot energy. And the chariot's all about victory and forward movement and integrating certain parts of self. And so I feel like with the tier, like, I don't know that you're sacrificing yourself in some way here, you know. You're sad about something, I feel, and it's keeping you, like, because this is, again, like, intentions, like, I feel like because of some sadness here or some experience here that maybe you feel like you have to dedicate yourself to something. The vision, 55. So we seen the fog in your emotions and in sort of your passions. We see the vision. So I feel like you understand here with the owls. This is all about the knowledge, the wisdom. There's an understanding here of something you could see for self. Okay, but I do feel, again, with birds, there's someone involved here that might be still stuck or keeping you stuck. And again, the someone could certainly be like your past self or an understanding of self that you had. And so we're suppressing like that eternal child side, you know, or we still want to stay youthful in some way and continue to do something here. But I feel like we might be sad about having to let it go. I'm seeing the mountain again coming out, and the mountain is all about the obstacles. And here we see a little hole, and it's like going through this obstacle through to get to the other side. That the gold or the core of what we need sometimes is going through the obstacle here. So I feel like there's an understanding that you might see, but I don't know necessarily that you've taken any action here. And so I feel there's a disconnect or a disjointed sort of energy. Yeah, the unseen right beside the vision. I think you're in denial about something that you might know, okay? But I feel like you're either pretending you don't see it, or you're telling yourself for whatever reason that you're incapable of manifesting or going towards this thing because I don't know. I don't know why you would be telling yourself this. It's like you're not feeling like you're ready to enter or good enough to partake or can overcome something here. You're dismissing this idea of self. So you could maybe know one way of self from the past with the resin and that eternal child, the comfort zone, the self you know. And the raven's head's here to say, the universe to say, it's time to follow some bigger vision here, to create something here, like a true core here, that you've had the experience you need. And I feel there might be sadness and moving forward, and you still don't see that part of us or what we could attain because we're looking at what we might think might happen or not work, or what we have to part with, and feel saddened by this. And the shapeshifter, 15, which is 15 is Capricorn energy, is devil energy. And I feel like the devil is in our way of being attached to the thing here that's keeping us sort of stuck in some thought way pattern. And so we're being asked to adapt, to change, to see things different, that we can find happiness and passion, and we can get through things here by shifting how we see things and how we engage. But we have to allow ourselves to be adaptable and know where we're being of devil energy. Chaos, this is giving me still devil energy and Scorpio energy. So I think because we saw that threshold and the fog, it's like at a certain point, what we loved, and with the Ouroboros, it starts to become chaos. It can't remain the way it was because the only thing constant is change. And so I feel like things are changing and shifting, and maybe we're wanting to keep the same, or we're resisting sort of change. But I feel like we might be fearful of conflict. But I feel like the conflict here is the fact that we aren't leaning into sort of making the change here that's required. Yeah, change. Quicksilver. This is being very adaptable. Okay. This is like being very adaptable and even shapeshifter, like doing what we need to accomplish and being flexible to do so and not so fixed. I'm getting Virgo and Gemini energy and sulfur. This is our soul. That's something suppressed that needs to break out here and loosen and allow it to be free. Okay, something's wanting to break out here. And like sulfur is used in the geysers to break free any of the clogs and blocks here. And I feel like we could be very much suppressed some sort of fixed way, and there's a need to be flexible and allow the passions to kind of come through, and this part of us to be seen and to be expressed with the eternal child. Okay, so let's take a look at your Ace of Swords, which is your thoughts and actions, what you understand here. I'm going to move these over slightly. So thank you, Spirit, for this message for pile number 4. Can we please take a look at their thoughts? What are their thoughts and their actions and what they believe to be true here? Anything they're needing to know in regards to their thoughts and actions. Clear and concise message for the greatest and highest good of pile 4. Okay. I feel these are getting a little unruly. Okay, so we have the Bardo, number 50. This is kind of an interesting space. I feel like something's transitioned already and we're still hanging out in the graveyard. Okay, that's the analogy that's coming through. A past self that needs to be released. And the Ouroboros says, you know, that the circle of life is shedding the things that need to go so that the new can be formed. And maybe we don't see what the new is here, or we're so attached to the old, and so we get stuck in this no man's land of hanging out with the dead, the job, the relationship, the place, the thing here that we connect to in some way. The Mystic 21. So this coming through with your Ace of Swords, like I feel like you know and you understand what needs to sort of be done here, but I feel like either we're going as long as we can in this no man's land of the Bardo, you know, and I feel like because this is coming through for me, like connecting to our ancestors, and I feel like there's a part of yourself that's really being pulled towards coming into a full version of self, and certain things that need to blossom in some way and transform. And in order for this to happen, it's like we need to welcome this transition. Yeah. And we have the Destroyer 23. I feel like you're trying to tell yourself every reason or why you need to sort of stay wandering in this dead zone, rather than allowing yourself to transform into a new energy here. And you could certainly be fearful of change or the what ifs. And so I feel like you shut down that idea rather than dance with it and adapt with it and allow it to sort of shift and change your set of circumstances here. I'm being called to read this Destroyer 23. Oh my goodness, do you see that? Okay, the savage, the unexpected, the rejected, the destroyer, the final of the three archetypes in the trio of existence, has necessary yet painful work to do in the world. Culturally, we have an aversion to endings, and we hang on to the permanence of a signifier of success, yet the destroyer pulls the rug out from underneath relationships, jobs, homes, and all forms of security. It's the part of us that wants things to end. Its painful orientation is to uncover our true purpose. The destroyer does not let us linger long in comforts, as it knows not much happens in that realm. With its piercing eyes, it seeks out stagnancy from a distance, and the rest becomes history. In an old myth, this is the moment when heads begin to roll, the ground opens up, and castles crumble. Hold on for the ride, and the destroyer has arrived. When light, swift and precise blows that redirect our life. When it's dark, self-destruction, negativity, and unwillingness to rebuild. So, I saw the threshold again. I saw the hanging on to the old. I saw the resistance. Okay, so part of you knows this. Part of the truth here is coming out. And so we have the void. So if we stay in the bardo with the dead in the graveyard, there's a nothingness here, okay? Where there might have been a something with the Ouroboros, it's now a nothing. And you might think, yes, it's still a something here, but it's a nothing in regards to your expansion. It's a nothing here in regards to allowing your authenticity to explore and to grow, okay? So this is required for you to connect with your truest form of self, to grow and expand, because nothing is constant, okay? So we might be fearing stepping outside of our comfort zone and what we don't know. So we have synchronicity. This is 63. And so I'm seeing the Ouroboros here as well with the snakes eating itself. I feel like you've been called, okay? You've definitely been called here by the divine. So you might be having dreams, seeing symbols, and being called to make these changes. And I feel like it is divinely guided. The universe is here to shake up and wake up here, okay? But it is for your own good, for there to be healing, for there to be growth, for there to be new, for you to grow and expand and transition here into your authentic truth and purpose. But I feel like you're seeing what you're supposed to be doing, but I feel like another part of you might be hanging on to the old. So copper, 23. 23 is 5, which is all about change and rebuilding. Okay, it's conflict, and we see all this patina on the copper surface here, or I guess this would be the patina, the verdigris. It's like copper, if left unmaintenanced, it slowly starts to erode in some way and not be its best version self here. So we need to keep upkeeping, you know, like we can't ignore ourselves. We can't just put ourselves on autopilot. I feel like you have been on autopilot or are comfortable with an autopilot, and so we're very discomforted by change. But I mean, then we settle for third best, okay? Not even second best. I feel here third best of a situation which I feel is not producing and not abundant, and it's wandering the dead, and we're not alive. We're not alive, and I feel like your ancestors are coming through with something you're gifted with here that you're supposed to be sort of exploring and entertaining in some way here, okay? But I feel like maybe we haven't been open to this, and it's going to require us to do some maintenance here, and rather than just ignore it and let the copper sort of rust away or break down, because I feel like you're not addressing what sort of is being called upon you with the synchronicity. So we're going to get final messages for you guys. Pile number 4. Let's get, what does Spirit want you to know then in regards to this message? What does pile 4 need to know? Guidance, anything that is unclear to pile 4 that they're needing to know right here, right now. Guidance, advice, further clarity. What are they needing to know about this? Oh my goodness. Okay. So, foundation stone, building something, steps and origins. So origins I was getting from the Bardo, which is the ancestors keep coming through here. So I feel like there's your ancestors really wanting you to sort of break some sort of mold here. And we have the eternal child. Like, it's like you're carrying on a legacy here, but I feel you feel stuck, or you're very fixed. And I feel on the other side there's the sun, so you're being pulled to get to this sun. You know, this is the enlightenment, the joy, like to find the purpose. And so we might be very fixed and in the comfort zone, thinking we're stuck here, or we need to be, but we're not. Okay, so the building something, steps and origins, I feel like Spirit is saying it's going to take time for us to build these steps, and that's okay. And that's okay, right? As long as we take one sort of step that we can, rather than being completely sort of resistance to it. Book, knowledge, history, education. This is giving me Hierophant. So it's our lifestyle. It's our lifestyle, what we value, what we dedicate, what we've told ourselves, what we've maybe been indoctrinated to believe about ourselves, you know. And so I feel like once we crack open the book, we see things differently, we understand it differently, and we start to question, does it still add value in my life? Is it still something I want to commit to? Do I still want to carry on this tradition? Is there something else that I'm supposed to be valuing or understanding? And in diving into this new exploration, not very fixed. And I feel like they're the same sort of squiggly words on all this. And I feel like you're not really diving into understanding what's being sort of handed to you with the synchronicity, or being guided to understand. And because I feel like you don't want to see it yet, or feel it's not ready for whatever your fear of stepping out of the comfort zone may be. Spider, creativity, building. Okay, and I feel like spider builds its spider web, which is its own house, its foundation. So I feel like you feel maybe very secure, or if you were to stay in whatever state you're in, it's your web. And but as we know, the spider's web could just be swatted away and completely shaken up. So I feel like there's something shaken up here in your world, you know, and it's going to rock your stability in a way here. And maybe you don't like this, you don't want to have to rebuild, but this is saying, you know, the steps to rebuilding here is going to be something that's more aligned with what you value here. So it's going to take some time to sort of rebuild this. Protection, you are definitely protected here by Spirit. So this is confirmation, okay? As you rebuild, you're divinely protected, and you're being divinely guided, and there's nothing here to fear, okay? So you are heavily protected. Comfort. So I feel like your ancestors coming through, giving you words of comfort. And also I'm getting 3 Pentacles, which is working with another entity here to create. So there's going to be success in you birthing something. And with the pink, I'm feeling like a true innocent sort of love here, okay? And we were getting the eternal child, something very innocent. And I feel like your ancestors here are protecting you. I feel like the universe is guiding you to create something, and we cannot suppress so much, because then we can't offer to the universe this beautiful creation. And I feel like it's going to rebuild your security and your stability and your environment, but I feel like it's for the better. Yeah, balance. So you could certainly be out of balance right now, and why is because what was once maybe balanced or felt good, it became too heavy in an energy that Spirit wants you to recognize. I don't know which pile it was, but I was talking about a spectrum, and when we're too heavy in an energy, you know, too comfort and autopilot, it's like the universe will pull the rug. And the complete opposite is kind of experienced here, and it's not the universe saying you have to be in complete turmoil and, you know, and imbalance to live your life, but it's showing you a taste of getting back to center, so you can find balance, that you don't have to be so fixed, that you don't have to be so stuck in some sort of ideology, belief, or give your complete energy to something that maybe you valued a long time ago, that you believed, you know, that it was ingrained by your ancestors, that's very fixed here, that's not necessarily true to your beliefs. And so you hung on to it like gospel. And I'm getting the gravestone here. So I don't know if there's a family member who maybe made you believe something about yourself that you're very fixed on, that doesn't allow you to move forward, that we need to bury. You know, that's a dead thought, a dead belief, a dead value. And so we're fixed or hung up here. But I think it's something over, you know, it's over. Like something's dead or dying or has been dead. And again, the graveyard coming through. And I don't know, like maybe you've suffered a lot of loss here, you know, or a lot of loss. People have passed away and have created some sort of understanding you have here. And maybe there's fear, you know, but again, it could be just not literal, okay, like a metaphor for things that are old, and we're just kind of hanging around here rather than understanding we are protected and we can get out of our comfort zone and we can rebuild again and we can create beautiful things still from a place of purity and love, that we can find love again and joy, okay, like from a very innocent, beautiful place here. And this will bring balance and abundance. I feel with all the green here, this is a rebirth, this is life, vitality, because I feel like right now it's dark and it's drab and it's lonely and it's cold. Like even the sun here is dark, you know. So I think you see that the light beyond this fixed thing is dark. Okay, the light is dark is kind of an oxymoron, but what could be light and bright for you is like, yeah, well, it's just dark and gloomy there anyway, or like this happiness, it couldn't come anyway, or even if the happiness came, it wouldn't make me happy or as happy as I could be, or as happy as this, or is it even worth it? And I feel like it is, but your point of view of how we're seeing the happiness, and I feel like this is so vibrant, growth, life, like beauty and love and peace and purity and joy and innocence, okay, and you are divinely protected, so there is no need to fear, okay. And I feel like there's a creative part of you that spirit doesn't want you to shut down. And if we're rebuilding our castle, rebuilding our structure, rebuilding things now based on our value, it's going to allow this structure to be more balanced with our energy today than maybe where it was in the past. Okay, so this is what I have. Beautiful, beautiful reading, pile number 4. I hope this helped you guys. I hope you guys like these readings, and I will see you soon. Bye-bye.